When I was teaching in the Bronx for 2 months, I found a park. They'd say to me, Sister Barbara, you be careful of that park. The drunks are in the park. A lot of people didn't walk because of this, fear. God said, I've not given you the spirit of fear. I'm not walking at midnight. And when I was walking, there are a lot of people walking to work. If we entertained fear, we wouldn't do anything, would we? I say to mothers, don't say to your son, don't try the tree, don't climb the tree, it's dangerous. Don't go on that jump on your bike, it's too dangerous, you might get hurt. Because you know what boys love? Danger. And if you say, don't do that, it's dangerous, that's exactly what they want to do. So when my kids were on the jumps or climbing the trees, I just looked the other way. Because you know what's happening now? So many are saying, don't do that, don't do that. Come inside and just play games on the computer. I tell you, there's far more danger there. They break a leg, it'll heal. But what happens in there hardly ever heals. And what are they doing when they're climbing trees and doing jumps? Oxygen. And that oxygen going to every cell in the body helps them to grow stronger. Helps their brains to be clearer. I noticed when I was homeschooling my children, after about half an hour, 40 minutes each subject, they'd have a break. And they'd climb a tree, or they'd ride their bikes, or on the trampoline. If it was raining, they could have the skipping rope on the veranda. And when they came back into school, they're like this. What's just happened to their brain? More oxygen. More oxygen. When I was doing my nutrition course, I really wanted to speed through it. I'd have one going in the mail, I'd have another module coming, and I was in the middle of another one. And sometimes I'd almost fall asleep, so I'd get up, I'd run out, I'd dive in the creek, come back. And that's what some ladies are doing here. Did you know that? The car to the creek. Oh, what a difference it makes. It's a great thing to do. Or just go outside if you don't have a creek or a lake nearby, and skipping rope, trampoline, run around the house. Putting oxygen in. Where else can we get the carbon monoxide? Mold gives off carbon monoxide. I have found in about 9 cases out of 10, people suffering from chronic fatigue have had mold exposure. Remember what you do? You start digging deep. So we had one young guy come, and he was 22 with chronic fatigue syndrome. See, when someone says, I've just found out the cause of all my problems, I've got chronic fatigue syndrome, that's not the cause. That's the result. So you've got to dig a little bit deeper. I said to him, really, what's been happening? He said, I used to go to the gym, I can't go to the gym anymore. I used to surf, I can't surf anymore. And unfortunately, he had a helicopter mother. Have you heard of the helicopter mothers? They hover around their children all the time, and the children can't make any decisions and can't do anything. So she was keeping at home. You stay there, sweetheart. You just stay there, I'll feed you. Was that helping? No. No, because the last visit to the doctor is offering antidepressants. I said to him, what do you do for a job? He said, I'm an air conditioning mechanic. Now, what often happens in air conditioners if they're not working well? Mold. Mold, because there's a lot of moisture in there, there's the warmth. So as the young apprentice, he's sent to all the messy jobs, the worst jobs, the mouldy jobs. I said, aha. And I investigated a bit more. So are you sent to clean out? Oh, yeah. He said, some of them are in such a terrible state. I said, mould growth? Oh, yeah, some of them are just black with mould. Aha. Aha. What does Ellen White say in page 127 of the Ministry of Healing? In case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. He'd gone to the doctor, he'd got a label and a drug. Not every doctor does that. There are some excellent doctors out there, but there are some that do. So I gave this lecture and he just sat up. He was so excited to see how all of this worked. Next day I heard him on the phone to his mother. He said, "Mum, I feel 200%. Just knowing why. Isn't that the way God made our brain? So he started exercising, but little by little. He had a very strong, healthy body. He was out at Misty Mountain with the fresh air. Yes, I looked at his tongue. It was coated. That's a clear sign of fungal growth. So we had him on herbs, we had him on a low sugar diet, no fruit, he's only 22, he hasn't got cancer, just fungal, so just Granny Smith apples and berries, just low. Well, when he went home, he felt so good just knowing what the problem was. He rang me up about a month later, he said, "I'm feeling so good." He said, "I've decided not to go back to work." He said, I'm going to college and I'm going to become a nutritionist. He said, "I want to do what you do." He rang me 6 months later. He said, "I've got some good news." He said, "I don't live at home anymore." Helicopter mother's gone. She was stifling his growth. A young man said to me one day, because he was incredibly proficient, it's not every young man's room is tidy, and I said, "You're very proficient." He was 19. He said, "Yes, my mother, she made sure we were each independent at the age of 15. We could all sew buttons on our shirts, we could all wash, we could all clean toilets, we could all keep a house clean, we could all cook." I love it. Independent. They can, and doesn't that make the mother's job a lot easier? Yes. Absolutely. But mould, that's why you've got to search. You've got to go very deep. Sometimes I say, have you ever lived in a mouldy house? That's a good question to have on your questionnaire. Or have you ever been exposed to mould? Because sometimes it can be a work. Sometimes it can be in the house. Sometimes it can be in many places. Remember the lady that had asthma from 5, and the new house they moved into had mushrooms in the carpet. So you've got to dig very deep. Unfortunately in Australia, because of Medicare, doctors are only allowed 15 minutes per patient. You can't find a lot in 15 minutes. What I usually do when guests come in, it's half an hour. And they've already filled out their questionnaire, so you can zoom down, and then there might be a couple of points you'll explore a little bit more. And I will get my husband to email us the questionnaires and things like that, so you'll have that.